Good evening and welcome. From war in Europe to political earthquakes here at home, we've got a lot to cover tonight. We'll break down the latest developments in the Ukraine conflict, including a stark warning from the British Prime Minister. Plus, President Trump has signed an executive order that could reshape the American education system as we know it. We'll also hear directly from Ukrainian soldiers on the front lines as they describe their harrowing retreat from Russian forces. And in the United States, the battle over education funding is getting personal. Finally, we head north to Canada, where farmers are caught in the crossfire of a global trade war. Let's dive right in.
Check one, check.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson issued a stark warning today, stating that any peace deal between Russia and Ukraine would be worthless unless the security arrangements for Ukraine are robust enough to deter future Russian aggression. Johnson emphasized the need for a long-term solution that guarantees Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The Prime Minister's comments come as negotiators from both sides continue to engage in talks aimed at ending the conflict. However, significant differences remain, particularly on the issue of territorial concessions. Johnson called on Western allies to remain united in their support for Ukraine until a just and lasting peace can be achieved. President Trump today signed an executive order that he says will begin the process of dismantling the Department of Education. The president called the department a bloated bureaucracy that interferes with the rights of parents and states to make their own decisions about education. The executive order directs the Secretary of Education to explore options for transferring many of the department's functions to other federal agencies or returning them to state and local control. Critics argue that it would undermine efforts to ensure equity and quality in education, particularly for disadvantaged students. We're going now to the front lines of the conflict in Ukraine, where Ukrainian forces are engaged in a desperate fight against Russian invaders. We spoke with several Ukrainian soldiers who recently retreated from the besieged city of Izium. One soldier, Dmitry, described the constant bombardment by Russian artillery and airstrikes. "They were hitting us with everything they had," Dmitry said. "We had no choice but to retreat." These soldiers' stories offer a glimpse into the human cost of this conflict. President Trump's executive order targeting the Department of Education is being felt far beyond Washington, D.C. In Battle Creek, Michigan, one mother's story shows the real impact of these cuts. "They're playing politics with my little boy's future," says Sarah Miller. Her son, Ethan, has a rare genetic disorder needing specialized education and therapy. These services are funded by the Department of Education, now at risk. Without this program, Ethan won't get the support he needs, Sarah explains. And finally tonight, we turn our attention to Canada, where farmers are facing a double whammy retaliatory tariffs from China and the threat of more to come from the United States. The trade dispute sparked by US tariffs on steel and aluminum imports has escalated in recent weeks with no end in sight. Canadian farmers, particularly those in the canola, pork and beef industries, are bearing the brunt of China's anger. Beijing has slapped hefty tariffs on Canadian agricultural products, effectively pricing them out of the Chinese market. This 1-2 punch has left Canadian farmers feeling like pawns in a high-stakes game of economic chess, caught between two superpowers with no easy way out. We've covered a lot of ground tonight, from the battlefields of Ukraine to the classrooms of America to the farmlands of Canada. The stories we've shared highlight the interconnectedness of our world, the ripple effects of conflict and political decisions that reach every corner of the globe. Families torn apart by war, children facing uncertain futures, farmers struggling to survive. Their stories are a stark reminder of what's at stake. That's all for today's top 5 breaking news stories. Stay informed, stay engaged, and let your voice be heard. See you next time.